Have you ever had that feeling, that really deep, almost aching desire to be truly real?
Hmm.
Not just alive, breathing, kind of going through the motions, but authentically you.
Yeah, to be really seen and accepted for who you are without putting on a front.
Exactly. It's such a universal human thing, isn't it?
That.
And I bet if you're listening, you've probably looked in all sorts of places for answers. Maybe self-help, philosophy.
Right. We often expect those big insights from, you know, dense texts, and they are valuable, absolutely.
But what's really fascinating, I find, is when these huge truths pop up in stories we think we know, like really know, stories we might even brush off as just for kids.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we're going today.
It is. So, our source material for this deep dive is the surprisingly rich piece called Pinocchio's Quest for Authenticity, Becoming Truly Real.
Now, hold on, before you picture just the Disney version, talking animals.
Yeah, right. Talking crickets, donkey ears, the whole thing. But our source, it argues there's something much deeper going on behind the puppet and the magic and, yes, that famous nose.
There's this profound message, it suggests, that speaks to all of us.
Honestly, when I first saw this material, I was a bit like, really? Pinocchio? How is a story about a wooden puppet going to tell me anything new about, human authenticity?
It's a fair question, and the source sort of tackles that straight away. It asks us to reframe the story, look past the surface details.
So, our mission today for this deep dive is to explore what it really means to go from just being alive to becoming genuinely real.
And we're using Pinocchio's journey as our guide, basically, trying to connect his lessons as the source presents them back to our own lives, and hopefully uncovering some insights that are, well, anything but simple.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. Pinocchio, he's not born, right? He's carved.
Carved from wood by Geppetto, this lonely woodcarver who desperately wishes, for a son.
And then one night, call it magic, call it hope, whatever, Pinocchio comes to life. He can move, talk.
But here's the crucial bit. The source makes this point right up front. Being alive isn't the same as being real.
That phrase. Wow. It really sets the stage, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Being alive isn't the same as being real. It immediately tells you this isn't just a simple morality tale.
Right. It's about something internal, a transformation.
Exactly. The physical act of living comes first, but it doesn't guarantee, true existence, real being. It's that difference between just functioning and actually flourishing as your authentic self.
Okay, so Pinocchio is alive. Check. But not real. Let's unpack his early journey. How does the source describe him at the start?
Well, he's described as super curious, which is good, but also deeply impulsive and very easily tempted.
Sounds like a recipe for trouble.
Pretty much. He's this bundle of raw potential, but he's also, frankly, a disaster magnet.
What kind of stuff does he get up to?
Oh, he lies, he skips school, he falls for obvious scams, like all the time, trusts completely the wrong people.
So he's constantly messing up, getting into trouble because he's chasing easy answers or maybe dodging difficult truths.
That's exactly it. And that brings us, of course, to the nose.
The nose. The iconic detail every time he lies.
It grows. And the source calls this a small, strange detail, but one packed with meaning.
Okay, so it's not just a punishment for fibbing.
No, not just that. The source digs into the symbolism. It argues it's like this visible sign of an internal disconnect, an incongruence.
That makes so much sense because when we lie, maybe to other people, or maybe even more powerfully when we lie to ourselves, something does always grow, doesn't it?
Yeah. Maybe not a wooden nose, thankfully.
Uh-huh. Hopefully not.
But the source says a distance, a discomfort, a feeling that we're becoming something we're not. It's like this psychic weight, that feeling you get when what's inside doesn't match what's outside.
The source even hints it's more than discomfort. It's like a fragmentation of yourself.
Exactly. And it makes you think, doesn't it? About all those times you might say, "Oh, I'm fine," when you're actually falling apart inside.
Or pretending to like something, a movie or music, just to fit in with the crowd.
Or maybe crafting that perfect online image that looks nothing like your actual messy life.
Right. Or acting tough when you're scared, or putting on a smile when you feel like crying.
And each time, as the source suggests, that space between who you really are and the version you're showing the world, it stretches, just like Pinocchio's nose.
It's that internal friction, that feeling of being out of sync.
And it's not always malicious, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just trying to cope or protect yourself or navigate social stuff.
But that distance grows. So maybe a question for all of us listening is, what are the small ways we let that distance grow?
hmm It's often not about huge lies, is it? It's the little self-deceptions, the people-pleasing moments. They add up. They stretch that space between our true self and our performed self and contribute to that feeling of, well, unrealness.
Okay, so Pinocchio starts out pretty lost. He's caught in the cycle. Impulsive choices, dishonesty, stretching that gap. So how does someone like that, so tangled up, find a way out?
Well, that's the powerful part, isn't it? The shift. Because deep down, Pinocchio genuinely wants to become a real boy.
And the source really emphasizes this. He wants to be not perfect, not impressive, just real. That distinction feels crucial.
It's absolutely key. It's not about meeting some external standard or looking good. It's about an inner state, a
To
congruence.
get there, well, he has to learn some tough lessons.
Oh, yeah. Life lessons. The kind many of us are still learning, let's be honest.
He learns them the hard way too, right? Like actions have consequences. That seems fundamental, but wow, do we try to dodge that sometimes?
We do. We procrastinate, make excuses. Pinocchio's journey kind of forces this raw confrontation with reality. There's no softening it.
And he also learns, painfully, that not everyone who smiles is your friend.
Oof, yeah. That's a tough one. Many of us only learn that through bitter experience.
And the shortcuts. He finds out that chasing the easy way, the quick fix, it often leads somewhere much darker, much more complicated.
Definitely. Compared to just doing the work, taking the harder, more honest path.
And telling the truth. Even when it's awkward or makes things difficult, that's part of growing up, part of owning your reality.
All crucial lessons. But connecting this to the bigger picture, the source says the most important lesson he learns isn't just about rules or avoiding trouble.
What is it then?
It's about love.
Ah. Okay, so how does that play out?
Well, there's this pivotal moment, a turning point. Geppetto is in terrible danger, trapped inside a giant fish, right?
Right. Inside the whale or shark, depending on the version.
Exactly. And Pinocchio, he risks everything to save him. He puts Geppetto entirely before himself.
So it's not about being good in that moment, not about following rules.
No, the source frames it as this profound act of courage and care. And this is the moment, according to the material, that transforms him.
But why that specific action? Why selflessness? Why not, say, finally understanding consequences or showing resilience? What makes selflessness the key to becoming real?
That's a great question, and the source really leans into it. It argues it's not just any act of kindness. It's an act driven by genuine, unconditional love, a willingness to sacrifice his own safety, his own comfort for someone else.
So he's not thinking about himself at all.
Not in that moment, the source suggests. He's not worried about his nose or getting caught or what's in it for him. It's all about Geppetto. And this act of, well, self-transcendence, stepping completely outside his own ego, his own selfish impulses, that's what grounds him in reality.
It's like the ultimate rejection of the false self he'd been living.
Precisely. The one built on lies and self-interest.
Wow. That idea that selflessness is the crucible for authenticity. It really shifts things, doesn't it? It suggests being real isn't about perfecting yourself, but maybe about losing yourself in something bigger, like love or service.
Exactly. And look at the definition of real that emerges from this. The source is very clear. He becomes real, not because he stopped making mistakes, not because he became perfect, but because he became selfless.
Because he became selfless. That's powerful.
That, the source says, is the heart of it. Authenticity, in this view, isn't about being flawless. It's about having a selfless heart. It's quite challenging, actually, especially today when there's so much focus on, self-improvement, self-care.
Which are important too, but this adds another dimension.
It does. It suggests realness is found in connection and care for others, not just internal work.
So, okay, bringing this back to us. If Pinocchio's journey is a kind of blueprint, what does it mean for us trying to be more authentic in our own lives? Especially maybe in a world full of social media pressure and curated images.
Well, the source draws out some really practical insights. The first big one seems to be honesty.
Honesty with others and with ourselves.
Critically with ourselves. It means really facing the parts of ourselves we're maybe ashamed of, the bits we try to hide. Pinocchio's nose kind of forced him into that, right? It was undeniable.
We don't have the nose, so we have to choose to look.
Exactly. We have to choose to acknowledge our insecurities, our mistakes, the real reasons behind why we do things, even if they're not flattering.
It also sounds like it means stopping that chase for approval from others.
Yes. And instead, starting to live more in line with our own core values, figuring out what truly matters to you, and then letting your actions reflect that instead of constantly adjusting to please people or fit some mold.
Pinocchio's early life was all about impressing others or escaping consequences. His realness came when he let that go.
And the source makes this really powerful distinction. We become real, not necessarily when we look good, but when we do good.
Okay.
Not when we impress, but when we love deeply. And it's not about never messing up, but about being fully present, fully honest, even when it's really hard, and letting our actions come from a place of genuine care.
It seems the biggest transformation happens when we manage to put someone else's well-being ahead of our own ego.
That's the core idea coming through, yes.
And this feels so important, something the source really underlines. These mistakes are okay. They're part of it.
Absolutely. Pinocchio made so many mistakes. Falling down doesn't mean you failed.
If you choose to get back up and learn something.
Right. And sometimes, the source puts it beautifully, it takes being lost to find our way home. Those times when you feel confused or like you've taken a wrong turn, they can actually be the moments that lead to the deepest self-discovery.
They help you shed the fake layers you've built up.
Exactly. It's a message of hope, really. Our flaws, our stumbles, they aren't barriers to becoming real. They can be the path to it if we engage with them honestly and learn. Pinocchio didn't magically stop being a puppet. He started embodying real human virtues like courage and love, despite his origins.
So if you're listening and you've ever felt, I don't know, fake or confused or just like you're going through the motions, if you've ever felt you had to lie just to get by or hide who you really are to be accepted,
Know this, you're not wooden, you're not broken.
you're human. That's the comforting truth our source leaves us with. The capacity for realness is already inside you.
And every single day, you get another chance, a chance to become a little more real.
And it's not about changing who you are into some perfect version. It's more like returning.
Returning to who you've always been underneath all the layers. Shedding the pretense, the people-pleasing, the self-deception.
And the final thought is this. When you live that truth, when your actions match your values, when your heart is open, no fairy, no magic spell, no wish on a star is needed.
Because you, in your authentic, imperfect, loving self,
Yeah.
you are the miracle.